Barbara. This is going to be an awesome episode because Barbara has spread kindness to the globe. She does that on a daily basis, and we know kindness is a topic that all of us need to be talking about on a daily aspect. We need kindness in our lives, we need kind people around us, and we need to showcase an act of kindness on a daily basis. Barbara, welcome and tell us about kindness.
Yes. Um, Maybe first I will share why I am so passionate about kindness. Since I was a child, like 6, 7 year old, people would say to me, Barbara, you're too kind. Barbara, you're too kind for this world. And I have been hearing this my entire life. But as a child, I could simply not understand. What does that mean? You're too kind. Did it mean that I had to be less kind?
Hmm.
What kind of world had I arrived in? A world where I had to be less kind and tough to survive? It just didn't make sense. And it took me quite some years, like you grow up, you go to high school, you go to college, you married, and you are like more imprinted with the culture, with the agreements of this world. And it took me a being faced with the cancer, with the stage 4 cancer, to
Mhm.
really go back and think about the legacy in my life. Because at the age of 32, I was diagnosed with the stage 4 cancer. As a young mom, I had 3 children, happily married. My youngest was only 2 months old, and I was told I had no longer than 6 months to live.
Wow.
So, um, in that moment, in that moment, first of all, I was dedicated to have a positive mindset and to stay positive during all the surgeries and the chemotherapy. But even with a positive mindset, the thought came to my head like, what if I don't survive? Am I happy with my legacy at 32? And the answer was no, Antonio. I was not happy because until that age, I had lived the life, you could say, to fulfill the expectations of other people. I have lived the life that I thought that I was supposed to live, to be a good person. I started a construction business at that time because my parents had a construction business, and most of my choices were unconscious choices. They were not, like deeply reflected. And it's not that I was unhappy. I was like, you could say, happy more on a superficial level. But when you're faced with such, you could say, a crisis or with such a moment in your life, you think. And I promised myself, if I survive, I will build a positive legacy every single day. And that's when I fully realized, because when you're in the hospital bed, it doesn't matter if you live in a castle or you live in a hut. When you're in that hospital bed, it doesn't matter whether you drive a Rolls Royce or a bicycle. The only thing that matters is the loving people around your bed. So I realized, what is it that we leave behind here in this lifetime? It's our prints on other people's hearts. And it's so much overlooked in this world. People think that life is about the worldly success, the big title, the big house, the big car. And I love beautiful things too. But let those beautiful things be an extension of your beautiful heart. And let those bling bling things not be something you have to fill yourself with to be someone. No, it's the other way around. First, you have the good, gentle, and kind heart, and then the success follows. But let success not only be defined by material things. So that's where it started. My passion to build a positive legacy and to give kindness its place back. And That's what I've been doing ever since. I'm in the process of writing a book, The Path of Powerful Kindness, because I think kindness is a power. And many people, especially in business, see kindness as a weakness, but it is not. Kindness is not a weakness. I think there's a big difference between kindness and niceness. Niceness is more, you could say, conform out. We are nice out of conformity. We are, somebody smiles at us, we are nice. Even some people are smiling nice to a boss who is rude to them because they are afraid of losing their job. So niceness is often fear based, and it's, you operate from a powerless place. Kindness is a choice. You can be kind to your rude boss, but you, in that kindness, you speak up for yourself. You can say in a kind way, I do not tolerate this kind of behavior. You do not tolerate disrespectful behavior, but you choose to stay in your kindness. You will not take over the rudeness of the other person or the negativity of the other person. You stay outside it, and you're balanced and mature and kind. So that's, you could say, my perspective on kindness and its power. And it's, you could say, it is a sign of a mature person that he can stay calm and kind even in difficult situations.
Hmm. I love that. And Barbara, smiling is an act of kindness. Imagine
Yes,
when someone comes into your office and you greet them with a lovely smile, and then you start the conversation. That positive energy with that smile, it will reflect and transfer to that individual so that they feel
absolutely,
most
absolutely.
comfortable, and the conversation can go genuinely and you can get the best out of the individual. So I always tell persons that an interview is basically a conversation between two parties. It's not supposed to be an investigation. And when it is
No.
that persons make it an investigation, you will never get the true potential out of that person, how they can elaborate themselves, articulate the words that they say in terms of what they achieved in their past job or even in their present job, to see if
Hmm.
this person could be the best fit. So an interview is a setup where the employers think that they may get the best person by asking some rough questions, and it don't
Yeah.
necessarily mean that. So it falls back again to what you are saying, that in business, some people think that being kind is an act of feeling not that you doing a great thing,
Yes.
feeling like
Yes.
it's a weakness, and it's not a weakness, it's the law of attraction. You operate
Yes.
kind with someone, you will receive kindness in return. You operate roughly with someone, you will receive roughness in return. So I believe in the law of attraction because I realize that what it is that you put in the atmosphere is what it is that you will
Yes.
receive. And it's just like planting a seed. When you plant a
Yes.
seed, what do you
Yes.
do? If you plant a good seed, you will reap great rewards.
Yes.
If you plant a
Yes.
bad seed, you will reap bad rewards. And it's simple like that.
And I think, let's imagine that you are the only one who will give a smile to that person that day. It's a
Hmm.
gift you give. I very often, people would message me in LinkedIn asking for support, and I do what I can. And today I got a message, somebody asking me, why are you doing this? Why are you so kind? And re- I simply replied, why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Why not? And for me, many people would message me, oh my God, I didn't expect you would reply, or you're so kind
Yeah.
for replying. For me, Antonio, if I can go to sleep and know that in every human encounter today, I made that person feel that they mattered, that I listened to them and that I was there for them, then I have a sound sleep and I know I did my best that day.
Hmm. So true. I agree with that 100%. And it goes to show you that in life, you have to live a life about you. not about
Mhm.
what society brings. Like, when we
Absolutely.
speak about the matrix, which is the
Mhm.
system that we live in, the system that
Mhm.
govern us,
Mhm.
we shouldn't be living traditionally
No.
to what the
No.
system wants of us. We should be living
No.
free. We should be living in a democratic world, not in a
Mhm.
communism world. And
Mhm.
that, I think, most people not understanding. Someone may ask the question to me, Barbara, Antonio, how you don't have any kids? I will be like, I just choose not to, but not to say that I
Mhm.
would meet someone who have kids and wouldn't be their stepdad. But at the end of the day, I choose that. Nothing is wrong. God never said that
No.
it's a sin not to
No.
have kids. But
No.
society conforms way at when you reach a certain age, you suppose as a man to have kids. So it's like
I
if
know.
it is you are weird, you know. Sometimes they
I
say
know.
someone is weird because they mistake that person confidence for arrogance, and it's just so absurd
There's
to know
so
that.
yes, there's
Yeah.
such a fixed paradigm. In the beginning when I did my videos, I started doing Facebook Lives, I think 7 or 8 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, Female friends of me, they would say, "Oh my God, Barbara, you want some male attraction. You're just doing videos for that." And I was like, "Whoa, no, what kind of paradigm are you in that it's not natural to just want to share a video and, like support people, guide them, encourage them, motivate them, that I would have an ulterior motive in making those videos?" So, but what somebody else says always says more about them than about you. So
Hmm.
people who are still in the prison of what other people say, always remember, people are only projecting their beliefs on you. They are projecting their fears on you. You don't have to get pulled in
Hmm.
their stories. You can listen, you can question them, you can inquire what they said, and then you just move on.
Hmm. And that is so true. Fear kills so much dreams out here. We wonder
Mhm.
sometimes that why it is in life we being fearful, because it's not to say that someone is going to harm you. We are being fearful to be our own boss, to be free,
Yes.
and we are
Hmm.
fearful of these things. Sometimes when you have a conversation with someone and they may say that the job market is very hard and these sorts of things, you may tell them, well, why it is that you don't think about maybe going into entrepreneurship? And they will say
Hmm.
that is so hard, it's so difficult, and all these different things. But
Hmm.
it's difficult to go and work in a company for 8 to 4, Monday to Friday, 40 days a
Yes.
week, 160 hours per month, and you
Hmm.
have to follow instructions when you could create something
Hmm.
at the side, and eventually that side business could
Absolutely.
be your real business, right? So
Hmm.
what are we
Hmm.
really fearful of? That is the question that I want to ask persons today,
Hmm.
right? We have to be living in a world that it's not about studying about the other person, but it's about you. As you mentioned about the bling bling, it's not about getting the biggest house or driving the best
Hmm.
car, but it's about what makes you happy. If it is that you
Yes.
want
Yes.
a home that it's small and you're most comfortable with it, but your neighbor have a bigger house than you, so be it. You know that you are happy.
Hmm.
If your
Hmm.
neighbor have a bling bling vehicle and you have a small vehicle and you are happy, so be it. Because when that
Yes.
neighbor a crisis hits, they now may not be able to afford all these things and they may
Hmm.
have to sell piece by piece. When you know, if when a
Hmm.
crisis hits, you are living below your means, so you could be able to bypass that crisis. So it just goes to show you, live for you, and, be kind towards others, and at the end of the day, it's the law of attraction. Whatever you do
Hmm.
is what you will receive.
Yes. And I think living in alignment with your purpose, with your gifts and your talents is very important. Most people choose a career because they think it will bring money or it bring more money, even if it's not aligned to them. And um, I often compare it with, let's say, Antonio, you are born as an oak tree, but
Mm-hmm.
society says you have to become a birch because
Hmm.
only birch trees are successful. Oh, an oak tree is not. So, what do people do in their life? They're born as an oak tree, and their entire life they want to be something they are not born to be. So they chasing, we are taught in school, in college, in society, we all have to fit in the same mold. You have to get that degree, you have to do it like that. Even, your parents, you feel like an artist, you can draw and paint, and your parents say, oh no, don't do that, you will never make money as an artist. You go to for accountancy. Many people spend their entire lives doing a job because their parents, their peers, or society told them you have to do this to bring money on the table. That's not true. And I don't say you have to quit your job today. But what I suggest is to look what your passion really is, what it is it that makes your heart sing. And you can like start a second track and follow, you could say, certifications or courses. Start it first as a side business, and then see. And if it gets successful, then you can, like leave your job or make it a part-time job and build your business bigger. But don't spend your life doing something you were not born to do. That's
Hmm.
such a waste of talent, such a waste of your spark, like you dim your own light by doing that.
I think, Barbara, most people don't even know their purpose. Sometimes you may ask
No,
a
that's true.
professional if it is that you know what you want in life. They will be like, I'm
Uh,
not sure. And these are persons who went and got their
I know,
degree,
I
got
know.
their masters, and
Yeah,
asking that question, thinking that all that years of education that those persons
yeah,
went and attained, it's very challenging to know that that simple question that cannot be answered. And I think that most people are just living day by day and not even understanding why it is
yes,
that they are alive and what
absolutely.
it is that they supposed to be serving. And that is the biggest problem that you could possibly
Yeah,
face. And
yeah,
I think the detriment of life is not basically life itself, but is you. Because if it is
yes,
that you do not want to do what you're supposed to do, what your purpose is, then after you are living a life that is empty and you would not feel
yes,
complete. You need to live a life that will be
absolutely.
fulfilling. And at the end, when it is that you go 6 foot under, you could have a legacy that could be passed
Hmm.
on generation to generation. And I think that is something really, really
Absolutely.
awesome. Like what we are doing right now is something really great because let's say, you know, myself, I do like 200 or 500 videos, and you do many other
Hmm.
videos also. That is basically a legacy that you're leaving that, you
Hmm.
know, you
Hmm.
started from one point where you didn't know yourself, very shy, timid on camera, and then you
Yes,
keep on continuing doing and
yes,
doing and doing, just like an energizer battery, keep on going until that it's no more. Endure till the end. Do not start something. I see, Barbara, a lot of persons, you know, and this really is thought provoking. A lot of persons started, like when I speak with persons, they'll be like, they start a LinkedIn Live or they start an audio event, and because they're not getting much persons attending, it may be
yeah,
4 or 5, then it may be dropped down to
yeah.
1 or 2. They decide that they want to quit, and
No,
quitters, no, no, because when
it's
you think,
about the energy. It's about the energy you bring into the world, the energy you bring into each room. And it's not about the number. The number of people in the beginning, we all started small. We all started,
yes,
but it's the consistent, like being consistent. I'm doing this on Facebook for 8 years, on LinkedIn for 3 years now. And you post, I post almost every day. We post.
hmm,
Some posts get a lot of traction, others don't. That's okay. No, it's social media. It goes quickly. People scroll. Don't make a fuss about it. Just put your content, continue to put your content out there. And I think it is the consistency that will make it that people, and you fine tune, you can tweak your message. I think that's important to have that connection with your audience. And that's the learning process. But people, oh, well, they all don't want the effort, they don't want the discipline and the effort, and they want to be in a place where they see other people's. But that's
Yes.
not your journey. Your journey is yours.
And I always say that Rome have that does not Rome was not built in a day. So if Rome was
No,
not built
no,
in a day, your journey cannot be built in a couple of months. Some people
absolutely,
journey is
absolutely.
be shorter in terms of success than other persons. Never try to compete. If you have to take baby steps in order to reach that pinnacle, when we think
Hmm.
about Colonel Sanders, KFC founder, he
Yes,
took when he
yes,
was like 65 years to
yes,
really have
absolutely.
that business propel when
Hmm.
all the
Hmm.
other times that he tried he
Yeah.
failed. But if it is that he had given up, then after it
Hmm.
wouldn't have Casey today, and that is a generational wealth that
Yes.
will pass on to family. So
Hmm.
that's an awesome legacy that this guy
Yes.
left. So why it is that we can't be fulfilled and live a life
And
and
I
keep
think
on. Mhm.
we never lived in a world where we have access to so many platforms. It's like you have a phone and you can do whatever you want. Like 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, that was not possible. So everything, there's so much more opportunity now. Just you have to take it. And to yeah, well, you have to put the work in it. But if you're inspired like you and me, like we're inspired by what we do, the passion is burning. And that passion, okay, you and I, we can have an off day, but it takes a few hours, and then we're like, okay, now we're back up again, and we're going to get moving, because we know that's life. And if you keep the passion burning, then nothing is going to stop you.
Yes, so true. And I would like to say this in closing is that despite that we have more technology going forward, we have a
Uh-huh.
smartphone in our hands that we do not want to let go of. I think that people have been more lazy than from before, because
Maybe.
when it is that you have so much, it's like when a child is born into riches,
Hmm.
that child
Hmm.
wouldn't be
Yes,
a person to really
absolutely.
maintain that riches.
Hmm.
But when it is a child born without, you will always want and you will do anything to
Hmm.
get. So I think that we're living in a
Absolutely.
world that people are more lazy than anything going forward, and it's our mindset
Hmm.
that is poor and not necessarily our
Absolutely.
self is poor. So I just want to say that to everyone. Yes, we in a technological era, but we have to do more and stop
Yes.
saying that it's because we don't have the necessary capital or because our environment is
No.
toxic. No, it's all in our
No.
minds. Our mind is our lethal
Absolutely.
weapon. And I would say thank you, Barbara, for this great
Thank
conversation.
you.
And everyone who is watching, those on the replay, just type hashtag team replay so you know it's you on the replay. Any questions, ask myself or Barbara. And yes, do have a great one and be safe out there. Thank you.